Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. We just had game number 1 go down, and it was actually a really tight game. There was a big advantage earned by DegreeEsports, but we did see some life in Orgless randoms, which we can't really say we saw in their first game versus London Esports. So they were able to bounce back, but it is still a best of 3, and we'll have to see whether or not this is what Orgless randoms need. We were saying before the break, we'd like to see a bit of a shift from this kind of scaling heavy kind of comps they like to draft, and we'll have to see whether or not they're going to shift it up, because we are now into picks and bans for our second game of this series.
Yeah, we just need a win condition, a lane to play around for the early to mid games that you can sort of facilitate that and lead into your scaling options. Now, on a different team, we have seen the result of the winners match, and London Esports lost. So whoever wins this series will face off against London Esports in the deciders. Winner of that will go through to the day 2, the semi-finals, to get into the UKLC. Loser will be knocked out, as will the loser of this series. So we have flown in. We've seen the Trundle and the Graves both being banned away. Thresh as well. Big high priority champs on the current patch. Corky, though, something more specifically targeted at Berry. It is strong on this patch, but very much one of his scaling picks that he likes to lean into.
Kind of targeting that way. We actually did see as well the ban on the Yasuo versus either Chen or Evan in that last game. We'll see whether or not they look to repeat the same, but for now, the Syndra getting taken away. Not comfortable to first pick it. Don't want to give it over. The Varus is the final ban here from Orgless, and it's instantly the Aphelios that gets locked in.
Yeah, I mean, Aphelios still strong on this patch. Scales incredibly well, and if you pair it up with something like a Lulu, has that potential to be an absolute monster in the later stages of the game. I think there are a lot of sort of early pressure AD carries that maybe spike more in the mid game, like the Varus and the Ezreal. Aphelios is one of those that can lean more into the later stages. Now, looks like the answer being pondered would be this Senna, which I don't object to. I think it's a decent one. You can apply pressure in the lane, but for now they're going to go for that set. Still leaves the Senna potentially open, as it's something you can pair up with the set in the lane if you run that as a support, and he will take the farm, as Fasting Senna is still the one to be played at the moment.
Yeah, they don't need to pick that up yet, though. They can pick up maybe a jungler or a mid lane or something else at this point, and then look to flex into something for the once the 2 other picks have come through from the side of DegreeEsports. Teams obviously have switched sides. That's an Annie lock-in, most likely a placeholder. We saw them use Annie as a placeholder earlier today. We'll get confirmation shortly on whether or not that's a legitimate Annie, but I mean, don't get your hopes up.
I'll make a bet with you that that's a placeholder.
Hey,
I think I'd be right.
I'm not taking that bet.
Yeah, so good to see what they want to round out. Potentially a support pick if you want to pair that up with the Aphelios. Thresh has been taken away, which is something that can you can utilize the Lantern to offer safety to the immobility. Seen the Taric. I'm assuming this is a straight Taric pick on the placeholder, but it's interesting. Taric does have a lot of strength. Particularly, we saw it come into the game more with the Callista, and it works well with the Jarvan. So I think that's the reason we're seeing these on the rotation together. I think Taric with the Aphelios may be a little bit weaker in the laner phase, offering less protection than I typically like. But when you have a Jarvan as well, they sync together super well. You go for the flag combo, you have the stun to follow up, and if you start a fight and engage, you throw down that ultimate, the Cosmic Radiance. Enemy team is trapped inside the Cataclysm. They don't have options to try and kill you because you're invulnerable. Very effective team fight so far coming out from DegreeEsports. See, another
so the Annie is a Senna. Just so we're all clear. The Annie's a Senna. I don't know who the Amumu is. I assume the Amumu is also.
We saw them hover it. It does work really well with the set. The set still functions as a flex, but they have strength in the lane coming out from the Senna. And I think it makes sense when you look at the fact that we saw the Taric come in. We likely have already seen the bot lane come out from Orgless Random, so it sort of suggests more sense to picking up the Taric in response. We do on this rotation see the Yasuo banned away, something that could just provide more of a headache. If you already have the Cosmic Radiance, you throw down the Wind Wall as well, and also syncs up well with the Jarvan. So limiting the pool in that regard. And they're going to look towards the Kassadin, which again, if your goal is to trap people in the Cataclysm, don't really want to give something that has such a short cooldown jump available to it.
Before we get into more of the bans, the Amumu is a Gragas. We are playing on the live client and not on the tournament server, so not every player in this tournament has every camp champion unlocked, hence why we will see a few placeholders. Will mean we'll be forced into a quick remake of the lobby again, but they'll fire through that. The Darius and the Vladimir are the last two bans here, and now we're looking over to the other side. Looks like they're looking towards their top lane. What do they want to pick up? Or they could go for their mid if they want, but I feel like they want to try and counter pick for Berry, because Berry's been having a really, really rough time for our last two games, where he's picked these scaling options and hasn't really been able to come alive on them. The Ornn gets picked up to add to some engage here. You've now got that Gragas, you've now got the Ornn, you've now got the set, you've got a lot of engage, but there isn't really that much damage, is my concern so far for the side of Orgless randoms.
Yeah, they're going to need a mid laner for Berry that's going to have quite a bit of damage potential. I think the Ornn's fine. Typically, we see Maokai or Soraka coming out from Vega, so Ornn a little bit out there, but offers a lot of scaling elements, and it's a decent laner. I think the Gragas really works well to sort of disengage the Jar and the Taric, but instantly we're seeing DegreeEsports answer the Sylas. Sylas works well into these tanky top laners because you have too much healing in your Kingslayer for them to really kill you, because you max that first, they won't be able to 100-0 you, and then when you steal their ultimates away, you end up having, say an Ornn ultimate, but you make use of the AP ratio because you're building AP. So you essentially become a better Ornn in terms of the impact your ultimate makes. And we do see the Echo then picked up, likely going to go in the mid lane. This is something that Chentang has a proficiency on, will play. And just offers, again, so much dive potential, so much threat onto the enemy team. And if you're talking about countering dive, countering that engage potential, Veigar is pretty good at facilitating that with the cage. You throw that down, it really limits the effectiveness, because if you're jumping into that, it can stall you out for a couple of seconds, and by that time the Cosmic Radiance may be down, or if you didn't use it, they might have been able to burst through a target. So I think there were some decent adaptations coming out from this side of Orgless randoms. I definitely think it's better. Question is this going to be enough? Because I feel like there's a lot of tools on the side of DegreeEsports for them to utilize, a lot of comfort picks and a lot of favorable matchups. I don't think it's as clear cut as game one, though. That one really felt like out of the gates, Orgless randoms were just tripping over the composition.
Yeah, I feel like now the likes of this Gragas as well can add even more kind of playability around the fact that, they're coming at you. You've got like the cage, you've got the cask, you've got lots of tools to kind of get people away from you as quick as possible. So I actually really like this. This is definitely a better adaptation to the side of Orgless randoms. So yeah, I'd like to see how they're going to play this one out. Because remember, they really are on their last legs at this point. They are playing for their spot in this tournament. Otherwise, they are done and they won't even have made it to the UKLC. So yeah, two spots open, 8 teams playing for those 2 spots. And at the moment, Orgless randoms are really in a bad position.
Yeah, I mean, winning this game, you still have to go through the decider match. You still have to go through the games tomorrow. It's still a road to get to the UKLC, but you lose here for the side of Orgless randoms, and that's it. That's your journey over. You're not going to be in the UKLC for the summer season. So a lot resting here, and it's just going to be whether they can implement those adaptations well enough, whether or not they've done enough with these compositions. And I think the critical thing is that they have a ganking jungler, and they have setup in lanes. So I don't mind them having not the best ganking jungler with setup in lanes, because a Graves who doesn't have much CC, if you have CC set up in lanes, you can still play off that. If you have priority in lanes, you can still play off that. That was my concern in game one. But here, they have a Gragas. He can force pressure because he has really strong ganks with the body slam. And then they also have a fair amount of CC between their laners to sort of facilitate things. Particularly the bot lane, that Senna and that Set, you can very easily land one CC into the other CC, and it just facilitates things really effectively.
Alrighty, well, just banning out last things. We're getting through the picks and bans again for a second time just while we load in. So hence why there's a little bit of a longer delay before we get going into this game. Do we know so DegreeEsports lost their game, didn't they? No, sorry, London lost their game to Viperio. Yes.
London lost their game up against Viperio. So Viperio have gone through to tomorrow. London Esports are waiting for the result of this series for the Group A decider. And then whoever wins the Group A decider will go through to tomorrow. Whoever loses will get knocked out. So right now, if Orgless randoms were to get through to tomorrow's game, they'd have to win this game and the next game, and then they'd have to at least 2-1 or 2-0 up against London. So it's a big journey. Their backs are against the wall. It sort of set them up where they have a composition that has more tools, but again, the question is still going to be is how they play it.
Right, so less scaling this time, I think, is the key thing to look at. So how does this team play? How are we looking at the side of Orgless randoms? What is their win condition in this game? Because obviously they're not playing around Barry, scaling up until level 16 on Kassadin, or waiting for his kind of 4-item spike on the Corki. This time he's on the Veigar. He does have to do a lot of damage for his team, but what is the game plan here?
I think the critical thing is that, often the term scaling is thrown around and people have this assumption that, Kassadin's a scaling pick. You do nothing early game, you're strong late game. But there is a lot of picks that have presence in the earlier stages of the game. Sure, they may have vulnerabilities, not always, because some champions are broken, but often you have picks where they have strong late games and they can still deliver in the earlier stages. We're seeing that here with Ornn, with Veigar, with Senna. So I think that's the difference. It's not that they've lent away from scaling, it's that they've implemented better scaling. I think in the earlier stages, bot lane is a great lane to play around, potentially mid lane if you have information on the Jarvan. I think top lane you could potentially as well. That just shows the range of options. Last game I was saying wasn't really anything FaZe can do. All three lanes have CC. You have CC yourself. There's potential setup. I think the biggest thing is tracking the Jarvan, because a lot of these lanes are quite slippery, particularly the Silas and the Echo. You can think you found them in a rough spot, and they can very easily turn it around. Aphelios as well, with if he has the Severum and the Crescendum available. So I think you just have to be cautious on where you're putting the pressure. If this game is played well, though, by FaZe, I think he has much better chances than game one to sort of facilitate. My only concern is getting into the later stages, dealing with the Aphelios. If the Aphelios gets strong, he will just burn through your entire team. And as much as you may be able to challenge his position, it's not like you're going to have that much damage onto him. If he has the Cosmic Radiance down, your CC might just end up hitting him and doing no damage, and then he comes out of it and cuts through your team. So that's my only concern. But again, much better, much more confident about Orgless randoms having a chance in this one.
Yeah, and we saw some fight in them in that last game. Half the problem was they just had picked a team that didn't really activate for a while, and they were making plays while they weren't really kind of, online in the game. So it's nice to see them pick up something which, will be able to go for these challenges and these fights, because I think we could be in for a full 3 games if they play like they did in that last game. But this time they've got the champions and the tools to do so, providing they don't get hard stomped, providing Gadunka doesn't just get to run around the map on this Jarvan and be a massive nuisance to everybody.
And I think tracking the junglers is going to be the critical thing. It often is, but it's also, I feel like, whichever jungler initiates first is going to be the one in trouble. If Jarvan flag and drags in, often he's vulnerable, he has no more escapes. In the early levels, he is quite squishy, and the same applies to the Gragas. If Gragas body slams in, enemy laner flashes it, and then the turnaround comes in, it can be disastrous. So I think really the players to highlight are FaZe and Gadunka. Who is making the impact? We saw FaZe have a lot of impact in the early levels. He actually ended up going 4-1 on the Graves, wasn't able to carry through on it. So I think that's what we will be watching in the early game and sort of waiting for that to dictate the game. In the later stages, it's going to come on execution, who has the gold lead, who has the scaling elements they can play around. Early game is, as it typically is, very jungle focused.
Yeah. But like you were saying at the beginning of the day, the jungle hasn't quite shifted just to ganking. It's farming junglers are also very much a thing. Is that just kind of a bit different because of these 2 picks? Because these picks are very good early and they'll be playing for their lanes more? Or do you think that will affect and maybe slow them down a little bit, but they want to maybe farm a little bit more?
So you still want to have efficient pathing. I think we saw this from FaZe a bit yesterday, where he just ignores camps and you'll just like run to a lane 3 times in a row, like the same lane, ignore his camps, try and gank. And then enemy jungler will clear a camp, come bot, counter gank you. And suddenly what would have been unfortunate has gone to game losing. I think that's the critical thing, is you still want your pathing efficient so that you don't lose too much if your gank is unsuccessful or if it backfires. And that is still very much true. I think the difference is, though, when you have champions like Aphelios, Taric, Veigar on your team, you get more value from ganking, because if you get those champions ahead, you get a ton of long-term value. It's not like if you gank a Renekton, you have to sort of take advantage of his lead and use that to facilitate a game-winning mid-game, unless you have other aspects of your composition that come online. If you get an Aphelios ahead, there is no point where that's a bad thing. He's going to continue to be an absolute monster throughout the game, and that's where you might see more ganking pressure, and is my reason for why they have gone for these junglers, to sort of continue on that flow from getting those scaling elements, the advantages they need to become relevant sooner.
Well, we have finally loaded through into our game. This is the second in our series between Orgless Randoms and DegreeEsports. DegreeEsports will be on the blue side this time, and Orgless Randoms on the red, as the teams take to the rift and get ready to go into the action.
Yeah, and again, I think an important thing in the early levels, if you're playing around your jungler heavily, or if they're a big focus, is watching sort of where the level ones sort of play out. Is there going to be an invade? Is there going to be some warding to get some information? And that's what we're going to be on the watch for. There are champions that are particularly strong at level 1. Set, Senna, both really difficult to deal with. Gragas as well. And on the other side, the likes of a Silas and a Taric, very effective as they have their CC available pretty early. But for now, they're going to throw a couple of wards down in the river on the top side. Potentially tracking invades, potentially tracking rotations over to the other side. Raptor steals, particularly for Phrase. But nothing too crazy going to come out in the early levels. Remember, it's 1-0 towards DegreeEsports. If Orgless Randoms loses, they are out.
Could be really, really rough for them in this game if they are unable to pull out the win here. But means they're spawning up. Junglers are starting on the red side apiece. Phrase is just starting at his Raptors.
Pretty easy to start up the Raptors, and we're actually seeing this is a typical thing when you have a dash and a jungler, is you can go straight over the wall of a dragon and look for an invade. Not a ton you can do with regards to information. We've seen a pause. Looks like Vega has disconnected, unfortunately, on the Ornn. So this means that potentially you're going to be able to challenge this blue buff. It'll depend on the pathing Phrase makes. So he has no information here. He can make an assumption, or he can plan anyway to path towards the bot side. If he does go for a full red side clear, often we see Predator junglers do that because they can then reset by boots and they have access to that Predator. If he does that, he will be sort of cut out a large portion of his jungle. So it's a little bit concerning. We'll have to see if that pans out that way.
And I mean, even if Phrase does look to try and go for a blue buff, thinking that this play may have happened, there is actually a ward that will catch him out. So they'll be at least aware of that happening. So we'll have to see whether or not that is going to go down. But it looks like Phrase may just lose his blue buff this game, which could be pretty rough for him.
Yeah, definitely could be. And I think just setting you behind in levels early, it means that you don't have many options other than ganking. So if you think about it this way, if your jungle is full, you have options. You can go bot side jungle, you can go top side jungle, you can go towards a lane to gank. You have a lot of versatility with that. If you only have one quadrant, once you've cleared that, your choices are limited to ganking. And often the lane position can very much telegraph that. If one lane for the side of DegreeEsports is overextended, all Gardonica has to do is go, right. Gragas' only option here is to gank. Where's he going to go? Probably top lane because it's shoving in. Hypothetically, that could be the situation. And then all he has to do is go there, wait for the gank, counter gank. Suddenly, Phrase is completely out the game. So that's where it becomes difficult. The ideal situation for jungler is you have your camps up so that you can path towards where you want to go, and you have options. And you have also, if something doesn't work out, you're not shut out the game because you can sort of rotate back to your jungle, pick up more camps, and you're still getting something despite the fact you may not be able to find ganks. Whereas that's what I'm concerned about in this situation, is that if you limit down the options, it becomes telegraphed.
And if we look at the kind of the state of, Phrase's day, he's been kind of susceptible to getting invaded quite heavily. Game number 1, when he was playing the Zac, had a really, really rough game, getting constantly invaded and kind of denied hard. If he falls into that again versus Gardonica, who played a really stellar game on the Lee Sin in our game prior to this, he could just fall victim to falling behind to the enemy jungler once again. And that's where Berry really had a problem with his last game on the Corki at the beginning of the day was he was okay in the lane, but everything around him was crumbling apart. So we'll have to see whether or not FaZe will kind of get a good read on this, get a good read on the map, and kind of keep himself efficiently in the game. I was looking at the map as well to see where if people would go over just to check. They do have a bot lane, I think, pushing into them, but mid lane is heavily being pushed in by Chen Tang. So it's quite hard to go answer out even if they wanted to contest the blue. So it looks like this may just be a lost blue buff, and FaZe will just have to play around that and see what he can do with his kind of the power he's got on his top side. He could always get to buy those predators, move up towards the top side, maybe try and get a gank onto Evan. Evan can be kind of hard because post level 3, he's slippery, he's got loss of sustain, he's got slows, he's got this full combo effectively outside of his R. So it could be a little bit harder to deal with him, but then again, you have got the assassin tank top lane that is the all on your team. So I'll have to see how this goes. Looks like Vega has now just reconnected, so we'll be getting back into the game shortly. Sorry about the pause there. Unfortunately, we did have a bit of a DC coming out from the Orn.
So what I would typically expect is if you're clearing your red side jungle, if he doesn't have the information, or even if Jarvan only takes his blue, is that you can sort of you reset for the predators, you path towards bot side, you clear those camps out, and then you go for a gank bot. Right now, his bot lane is shoving in, so the wave is likely going to bounce and then return back, and Benuxus and Longstaff will be overextended. That is what I expect to happen. And Jarvan can sort of play around that. Jarvan could either try and clear this entire bot side jungle, and then he can go back towards his red side jungle and be in position to facilitate a counter gank in the bot lane. Or alternatively, he can be happy with taking the blue. He resets, goes top side to cover his blue, takes that, and then he paths towards bot side to still be in time. And the reason why that longer path will allow him to be in time is because FaZe at that point will go and clear through his wolves and his grump before ganking bot. So there's two variants that could come through, but they are dictated by Jarvan, which makes it easy. Now, Gragas could do something like he could reset with the predators and go top, but that is super punishing because if you don't kill Evan on this Silas, you've just traded away 3/4 of the jungle for nothing. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to be looking out for after the pause comes in. It looks like Vega has reconnected. He was resetting his router, but I think he's still having issues, so we'll have to wait and see.
Unfortunately, yeah, it looks like he did actually re-DC again, so hopefully we'll be reconnecting again nice and soon. You get talk to us a little bit more. Dan, how you been doing? Obviously, the world's kind of a crazy place right now. We've all been locked in our houses for the last 2 months.
Yeah, it's wild. I've been bored out my mind just with the lack of League of Legends going on. It's been nice as the leagues have started up. You know, LPL started up. We saw the MSC between Korea and China, but it's just good to be back with UK League of Legends casting with the NLC as well on the horizon. It's just been a long wait.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of nice having the first 2.5 weeks just to chill and reset after everything, but kind of coming back into it and now is so relieving. It's been so long since we've got to cast any League of Legends really and get kind of our teeth into a tournament. But it's felt so long. My brain has just melted over the last few months. It does look like finally we're unpausing and getting ready to go into the game.
I've noticed your brain's been melting because every day you message me, you're like, "Hey, duo."
Oh,
every single time it's like clockwork.
Did you play duo?
Right now?
Yeah, right now. We'll dodge on the stream.
Yeah, why not? They can watch that instead.
Yeah,
so we have got back into it. Vega, fortunately, has managed to fix his rotor. Maybe bashed against the wall a couple of times. You think gank coming bot?
Buddy. Did look for a gank there, but they weren't able to find too much. Did force the flash out of Synapse, but with that Hex Flash, it's not really a loss of the end of the world. It's something we were talking about in the last game. Was kind of just the Hex Flash onto people, so they don't mind burning their flash early.
It was a bit of a reach, especially because the critical thing is that what you would expect is the Jarvan flag and drags, and then the Dazzle is connected to him. But because Longstaff was level 1, he didn't have the W available to sort of transfer it to an ally, and so we have to flash to gain the ground, and they end up just trading sums. And as you said, Hex Flash makes that not worth. So essentially, you just wasted some time bot lane, which means that you're not going to be quite matching the same pace that we had before. And looks like Vega has disconnected again. Well, we can talk more about what happens. So that detour for Guernica means he's going to be a little bit slower. So now he's just going to finish out the wolves. He's going to get out the jungle. he potentially wants to reset or head towards his blue, which has fortunately been warded, I believe, by Chentang, or it was either him or Evan. So he can head towards there, but it does leave his bot lane a little bit more vulnerable. So what he could do is he could head towards his bot side jungle, clear his Raptors, clear his Gromp, still be in the vicinity, and it very much limits Fraser's options. He can go for the scuttle, but he's going to be contested by that because there's priority mid and bot. And he's still going to be able to shut the enemy out of the jungle. It's just at a little bit slower pace.
Yes. They know that Gadonica has taken away that blue. They know that they saw him bot lane, so they're very much aware of what he's done. Gadonica's, I believe, taken all of those camps now, or at least on the Wolves currently. So could potentially be susceptible to getting caught out, but the bot lane's pushing, the mid lane's looking like it's starting to push. So you could have a big collapse and a big scrap breaking out in that blue side jungle if any action is going to go down.
Yeah, he still has smite, so I think he's pretty like you just smite Q. It's pretty much enough to finish it off if he's already started, and then you just get out. Like you said, the priority means he's able to do this, and that's the critical thing in this situation is that the only lane that really had priority in the early levels was, I mean, to be honest, Ornn can contest the Silas because you actually just win the trades in melee range early. But unfortunately, I think the DCing hasn't really helped Vega sort of establish that. There's more pushing power afforded to the Silas because he has his passive. But Ornn just kind of bullies melee champions who aren't bullies themselves. So I feel like that's kind of unfortunate. They've missed out on the priority top lane. But bot lane did have priority until that gank kind of made things a little bit difficult. But it still, things haven't really gone too drastically on one side or the other. We are getting back into game, thankfully, again. Hopefully, Vega's instant holds out. And now is sort of where we see the result of what Gadonica has done. He's left, I believe, some of the small wolves up. He's now going over to the scuttle. And Fraze is heading over to contest, but you're going to be a little bit late.
Fraze does have smite. Gadonica doesn't, but it looks like he's going to be a little late to that. He does have the Predator, and he's going to pop it here. Getting the Spooky on, they're trying to chase them down. They've got a bit of CC to work with. The Dazzle's not going to quite find its mark. They're trying to get the healing. They're trying to get the CC layer down. And that is first blood. Evan now launches into the fray, dashes past, gets himself the chain lash off as the flash over the wall comes down. Vega teleports in a little bit late as well. And everybody gets out of that one.
Yeah, but it's still a one kill going over to the side off Orgless randoms when it really shouldn't have happened. Oh, the root comes in.
Ooh. Liam's got the tower shots. Almost goes down. Has to heal to stay alive. That was rough.
That was very much rough. I think the takeaway from that situation is we talked about this during the several breaks we had. And we said Fraze is going to turn a bot lane. He's not going to have any options because his camps are down. So he's only going to be able to gank. I mean, it was obvious. It was obvious he was going to go and gank bot lane. That was the only thing he could do in that situation. And he does. And
his Raptors were just taken as well by Gadonica.
Yeah, but despite the fact that DegreeEsports knew that was going to happen, that is the only thing that Gragas can do. With no jungle camps up, your bot side, the Scuttle Crab's been taken, all you can do is gank, and they still die to it is a little bit disrespectful. I think they really could have shut Fraze down out the game. He's still behind in gold, the CS difference is massive, but the fact that he was able to go bot and get a kill, it shouldn't happen. It's still a very good early game from Gadonica, but I think really Longstaff and Benoxus, you kind of made a misplay there to let that happen.
Is falling behind, though, massively in the farm department and in the experience department. Losing most of his camps. Gadonica got a 2 crab start, got a free buff start, took away a lot of camps from that bot side. So Fraze still needs to continue to make these kind of plays to stay relevant at this point in the game. Predator's back up, so may look for another gank at some point, but it looks like all the lanes are kind of not really in the position for him to gank at the moment. Does still have his Gromp to go for.
If bot lane gets priority again, then that's potentially an option. We could see Orgless randoms go for a reset here, and then after they crash the wave. For now, though, we're seeing a little bit of suffering. The top lane CS lead for Evan. This is partially down to the fact that he did disconnect a couple of times. but also I feel like Vega's laning phase isn't the most optimal. Where Vega shines really is the team fights later on. So I'm not personally concerned about him being down in farm. He typically does alright, but we're seeing a fight bot lane.
Yeah, Liam's having to go for a swim. The Predator's on, and Fraser's looking to close this gap, trying to find the Aphelios. Goes underneath the tower, can't quite find the damage to turn it around. They get the dazzle off there, into the heal from Liam. They look for the CC, they look for the slows, they can't quite find it. And that was skrisky. That was very, very scrappy in the bot lane.
This is what I mean, though. It feels like Fraze is sort of... Because his jungle has been denied so heavily, his only option is just to chain gank. And you saw there, if the execution's off, because he didn't connect his body slam, they were close enough to tower, and it's an Aphelios with Crescendum, which is just incredibly broken. It looks really rough, because he gets nothing at all from that situation. In fact, all he does is leech XP from his teammates, so it's just a downgrade for them. And the end result is Gudonica is ahead in farm, ahead in XP, and he's going to pick up this dragon. And this is where you sort of see the more coin flippy, high risk but high reward gameplay that Fraze has sort of typically done on these ganking junglers, compared to Gudonica, who's gone for a more consistent gameplay. He's now level 6. He has the Cataclysm. He's 2 levels up on the Gragas. He is so strong in comparison, and it just shows the direction this early game has gone. We highlighted this as going to be a key point for this game, and I think Fraze kind of did drop the ball here. Despite some mistakes coming out from DegreeEsports, it's still a really successful early game for Gudonica. And now it's looking to see where he makes use of this ultimate. The first one, you can often burn a flash. Ideally, you get a kill, and then you just chain it. Every time your Cataclysms are cooldown, you pick a target. Veigar's an easy option. Senna as well. When they're flashless, they're trapped with you. Repeat, 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 and they go down. And unfortunately, Veigar...
in and out.
He reconnected instantly, apparently, so...
Hopefully he comes back nice and quick.
Fingers crossed.
We'll find out. But yeah, even so, even outside of, the issues they've had with the top lane.
Hey, he's back.
Hey, there we go. Barry.
And there's the ult.
Barry has to flash away from the Cataclysm.
I love how you gone from Barry to Barry now. I like that, I like that.
No, I called him Cherry earlier because it's Chen Tang, so I took the first letter of Chen, added it to the berry, and got Cherry.
I like
Barry.
I like how they have Liam on the team, and now it's Barry. And
I
just love a team like with people with names like just normal names, like there's Dave and Tom and all that. Yeah, it's the gang playing League of Legends, but we did see. So I mean, Gudonica wasn't really going to kill You've done it to me now. Gudonica wasn't really going to kill Barry in that situation, but him ulting essentially traded for the flash. And now Veigar it's 4 minutes till his flash is available. Gudonica is still, he's halfway through the Cataclysm cooldown, so it's a very easy kill target. And he can potentially threaten that mid, and with the Herald he's now picked up, very real threat to take a tower in the early stages. He's already jumping down to get some plates in the mid lane. I wonder if they're going to throw the Herald down. I think they're just going to try and get it a little bit lower. Mid tower, a pretty important one to take down to cut down scaling. We saw Orgless randoms lose it early last game, and it was pretty disastrous.
Jen just waits it out in the Christmas cage underneath the tower, doesn't get himself caught and CC'd down. Ultimate available to him with a chrono break at this point. This game definitely more relaxed from what we've seen in previous games. Rift Herald's on Gudonica, so you may try and see if you can find something on the berry here.
This was the game
Cataclysm
plan.
now. Flag, the drag, the flash, everything's available. They're going to pin him in place. He puts down the cage, but in comes the Echo. The shield's not going to quite get the stun, but down goes Berry. Chen Tang finds the kill. Now they look to flash on to the AD carry. The flash belly slam does come in. They have got that Cosmic Radiance not up yet, as they do get themselves a big ultimate off. The Railgun will find themselves some damage, as Fraze is taking some damage in return. They're looking to turn it back around onto Synapse, as they got the Ignite onto him. His health bar is melting. The fight is just backwards and forwards, as Chen Tang with a chrono break finds himself the kill, and now Liam has to be careful as he gets caught out by the dazzle. The healing's big, but they got the teleport to come down. Liam snipes out with the slow, with the damage. They're looking for the Cosmic. He's got the level in time. Shen will hold his life, gets CC'd, knocked up. Longstaff is running away. The tower in the mid lane goes down, but the fight continues in the top lane. Longstaff will live today.
beautiful turnaround coming in there from DegreeEsports. So we saw the play in the mid lane. It's what we talked about. Flash being down on the Vigar, easy follow-up. And then top lane, the response from FaZe is, well, I've got to do something. So he goes for the gank. It looks effective at first, but Benux does really nice play to use the Sever ult. This is one that people rarely talk about because it's so niche when it's useful, but the heal from it is pretty significant. It kept him alive for long enough. Chentang teleports in, and then it ends up just being a 1-for-1 trade in the top side. And because it meant the mid lane was vulnerable, Gadonica throws down the Herald, gets that tower. So a massive win for DegreeEsports. Really well played overall.
Absolutely. Now, 11 minutes on the clock. Degree have pulled themselves ahead in gold. Blue buff hand up is going to happen right now as the Drake is spawned up shortly. I believe it'll be coming up in the next minute or so.
And ideally, DegreeEsports just keep stacking those up. And it makes it a very real win condition in the late stages. I really feel like this scaling is good for DegreeEsports. You have a Taric in your team, you have an Aphelios, and oh no, again, Berry.
Berry's going to get caught out. Ben's
this is how you play Jarvan. This is literally how you play Jarvan. You're picking a mobile champion, you burn their flash with the first ult, and then you uncooldown, you use it again. Gadonica really playing this game well. And as much as the scoreline's only 0-0-2, the impact he's made in this game has just been absolutely massive. They're going to go for that second dragon. There's a wave to catch bot. 0 plates to fall yet for DegreeEsports, and they've taken 6 in return on that mid lane tower. It's looking pretty rough.
Yeah, it does feel pretty hard, and we're looking at an Infernal Soul as well. Both teams are going to benefit pretty heavily off this.
Yeah, definitely a lot of pop potential available, particularly to champions like Evan Silas and Chentang's Echo. Those champions have like a limited amount of burst. If you can increase that with an Infernal Soul, it basically means that, you know, Chentang can E in, get the auto attack, throw his Q out, and that might be enough just to kill a squishy target like the Vigar. So definitely not going to complain. And we take a little bit of stock of the items across the board. We've seen that Gadonica has picked up his Cinder Hulk, and he's working towards the second item. Already got that stopwatch in the pocket. We've got the Proto Belt available for the Echo. Not too much on the rest of the team in terms of completed items. You can see that Evan's gone for the CDR rush, which I think is a pretty effective playstyle for the Silas. And I'm going to hold that thought because we've seen another gank. Yeah,
they're looking to come in here. The Predator has been held, and FaZe messes up the belly bob. Does throw out the cast, but the Cosmic Radiance is going to go down. Longstaff will get popped in time, so he stays alive. Barry looks for the cage, can't quite find it. Evan gets sniped out by the railgun, and Barry takes him down. They have got the return, though. Gadonica looking to come forward. He's got himself the flag, the drag. Cataclysm onto one. Barry has to flash away. And it looks like for now they're just calling it off, but look who's slaving their way down the river. The Dazzle connects onto the support, catch himself a stun. In comes the Echo, finds himself the shield, tries to look for the turnaround. Gadonica takes down Synapse right now. And it looks like that is going to be all she wrote on the fight.
Honestly, not too bad of a trade overall for the side of Orgless Randoms. The fact is, the Ornn didn't even join and they still traded 1-for-1. So you take that. Now the question is, will they be able to get more here?
Yeah, Gad's looking to see if he can find something. Gets caught out by the cage for the moment as Ben tries to get something off, gets him up with the Gravitum, and Liam is just going to get melted through. Chentang is on a killing spree once again.
That's where it becomes an issue, and once again we're seeing a situation where FaZe is being forced to just gank, trying to snowball his team back into the game, and when it doesn't work, you mess up a body slam like that, there is a turnaround for the other team. You didn't have TP available to assist, and in the initial play that was okay, but then they go for the re-engage, they kill another member, and now this bot lane tower is likely going to go down. And that's just even more gold in the pocket of DegreeEsports. They didn't get all the plates on that one, but still, you can see 5,000, actually it's 4,500 is the gold difference, and that is very significant.
15 minutes on the clock. 3-0 on Chentang. Chentang's had a fantastic series so far. Game 1 on the Tristana. It's kind of one of the major carry factors for DegreeEsports. And it looks like, once again, on his Echo, 3-0-1. Doing so much work. He's got a big CS lead over Berry as well.
And the thing is, what this composition can really translate well into is a 1-3-1. Because it will come to the point, where Orn just can't kill Silas. I think we're actually at that point already. I don't think you can 100-0 to him without help at all, ever. Chentang on the Echo on the side lane is too much for the Vigar to deal with. It's not a good matchup. You don't want your Vigar on the side lane, but...
Oh, Chen actually gets himself caught out with Cosmic Radiance. They get the Dazzle off. Longstaff does have the ultimate. They're going to have to throw out the Cosmic Radiance to keep him alive. He does hold it for the moment. In comes the call of the Forge God as Longstaff takes down Phrase. They chase forward on two fronts, though. The Cataclysm pins a bunch in. Ben caught out by the cage, and he is just blown apart by Berry. Massive ultimate comes down from the set as the call of the Forge God stolen away by Evan. Will knock up another two, and they take down Vega. A massive team fight once again for DegreeEsports, but you do see some fight left in the randoms.
Yeah, Benuxa's caught out is a good cage from Berry, and the ult to follow up and get the execute. It just wasn't enough to put them in their favor. You can see how weak this Gragas is. He is paper compared to the enemy team. He tries to make the engage, and as much as he got Chentang low, it just wasn't enough. The Turret Cosmic Radiance coming in clutch in that situation. They're going to pick up this Herald, and that's just going to mean that if they want to go towards that top tower, potentially challenge a tier 2, they can. We do see them... we do see Orgless randoms moving towards the dragon. It is up pretty soon, and they're setting the priority on that one. It's 2 dragons already in the pocket of DegreeEsports. They want to deny a third here.
Teleport's available on Chen. They're all barreling their way over. Ben's in the bot lane, just catching this wave for the moment. He may get himself caught out. He has not got any items to speak of. Has to be so careful, but they're just going to barrel towards him. The Predators on Synapse. They get themselves the face break, and the teleport's going to come down. Ben's exhausted underneath his tower, trying to sustain for the moment, but Liam will take him down. The teleport will not be completed. Instantly, Chen pings out.
He's Sam gone. Nope, see you later. That's the one way you can cancel your TP nowadays. They're now down a member. Donica might go for a steal, but this is an opportunity to throw. Actually, Engage comes in.
That's a massive Cataclysm of it open to him. They already used the cage already, trying to catch out Chen. They get Berry in. The railgun gets fired, and Chen is low. Finds himself the shield. Remember, he doesn't have that ultimate available to him. As Evan gets himself caught out, the flag and drag doesn't quite find its mark onto anyone, but Phrase is liquid. He is paper to Gatonica. One more Dragon Lance will take him down, and Synapse Sprinter is sprinting towards his tower. The flash forward by Evan as he goes for the tower dive. He will fall to the tower shots, but the ace comes down, and that will be the Infernal Dragon over to the side of DegreeEsports.
And that's the goal difference for DegreeEsports coming in there. They're man down, the Aphelios not with them, and they're still confident to go for this. This Jarvan, 8,000 gold in the pocket, and you saw how strong he was. He jumps into 4 members and just starts whacking on them, auto-attacking them, and they can't cut him down. He is too powerful. He has the support of the Taric, and they're going to be able to pick up this dragon. Really confident play from DegreeEsports, making use of their gold lead, and it's paying off so hugely in this situation. And you saw there isn't so much damage available to Orgless randoms. Evan on the Silas was just able to repeatedly use that CDR he's bought to just spam the Kingslayer every single time. Big heal, big heal, big heal. He would never go down. Gadunica too tanky on this Jarvan. And then obviously you have to kill Chentang effectively twice. He has a stopwatch as well. It's just... at this point, it feels very difficult. You really need the Vigar to be at that 1,000 AP sort of level. You need Senna to have a ton of souls in a pocket before you can really contest from this much of a discrepancy. And with 3 dragons already in the pocket, we're looking at a 23.5-minute soul for DegreeEsports if they can get that one. I don't think that Orgless randoms are going to be ready to fight them at that point.
The Infinity Edge is now being finished up onto Ben. 1 and 3. It's had a really rough game on the Aphelios. It's kind of taken the brunt of a lot of the aggression. He's in, he's out. Might have a quick pause. Hopefully it won't be long.
He's just contemplating his existence. Oh, no, he's gone.
He's out. Oh, I feel so sorry for Vega right now.
Yeah, it's unlucky.
I too have experienced internet that just doesn't want to hold.
Yep. I had a bit of issues earlier on the stream where you could see my cam looked like it'd been microwaved due to a bit of connection issues, but fortunately it's holding up okay now. So it looks a bit more blurry than yours. Like, my picture quality is fine. Like, I tested it before the stream. It's just when it comes through on broadcast, it's
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie. I haven't even checked if I'm actually streaming my webcam in the right quality. We were meant to do this in the big setup we had.
I checked because
I definitely forgot to check, and they were roasting you on it, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm actually running the right quality
it's like
right
they said, hey, can you guys come here for 11? And then you show up on the dot at 11. You're like, hey guys.
That's the cool time.
But it's
I was having a shower.
okay.
Got to be clean.
Yeah, because the smell-o-vision they've installed.
Yeah, that's you know these microphones you've bought.
Oh yeah,
these really expensive mics. They're really good actually. They pick up smell. And the webcam as well. If you haven't showered, it actually makes little kind of CGI smell waves coming off you, like a poo.
I can see you. I can see yours. It looks like you didn't shower well enough. Didn't wash your
No, I had a
pits.
quick shower to get here on time. I was so bad this morning. Oh,
I feel like
don't
my
write it on
biggest
show
issue,
days, kids.
my biggest issue is that it feels like structure to the day has just gone out the window.
Yeah, that's why I like this. I like working again because we get structure.
I have a reason to wake up in the morning. So I just lie in bed and I'm like, I should get up.
Yeah.
But will I?
I had this conversation with my parents the other day, actually. They were like, you got to start getting up at like so late. And I'm not even getting up that late, but I'm just not getting up at like a normal time. And I'm like, but why? Like, what am I going to do? I'm just going to wake up and roll around the room for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean...
Structure's good. Structure's nice.
I agree. I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, it's midnight. Probably should go to sleep soon. And then you're like, oh, but I'll just do this thing. And then you're like, oh, I'll do that. And then I'll watch this video when I get into bed. And I'm like,
oh, it's video. It's videos when you get into bed. That's the worst thing. I go to bed at like a reasonable time. I've been kind of going to bed at like maybe like 10:30, 11 most nights. And then I'll stay up for like 4 hours just watching stuff in bed.
You know what's the weirdest thing?
I'm so bad.
Is content creators who release daily videos, and it's like every time I go to bed, I'm like, I gotta watch it.
Yeah.
He's released a new daily. I've gotta get my Boy. I gotta get my Mega Mogwai with his Runeterra content. I've gotta watch it, and it's just like, and then I check the clock, and I'm like, oh, I regret that.
And then you're like, oh, I'm watching a series, so maybe I'll watch a few episodes of that.
Oh, dude, I was watching Better Call Saul, and I was just like, it's getting to a good bit. It's like, I'll just finish this good bit. And then the good bit finished 3 episodes later, and I was like, cool, okay, it's now 5 a.m.
I only have regret. We're back in the game, luckily. Yeah. So this is something you do want to watch, and luckily it's not at a city time, so you won't have to stay up all night.
Yeah, but...
Unless Vega keeps continuing to connect.
We've sort of picked up viewership, because I think early in the day, when we started at like 12, I was like, no one's going to be awake. But... people are tuning in now to see DegreeEsports picking up the Baron. 8,000 gold in the lead almost. Not very much that Orgless randoms can do. And they are going to start putting the pressure down top lane. They still have the Herald available. Don't even think they need it for this tower, but yeah, they're going to get it done in time. So applying that pressure. And actually, TP coming in. This is a Silas looking to flank on Berry.
Yeah, they're looking for the fight. They're going to get the cage off momentarily. Berry throws out the Glacial Orb when slow, but he's being flanked. Looks for some damage onto Evan. Evan looks to chase him down, gets the Kingslayer heal off, and Berry is just squashed.
That's that Lich Bane damage coming in. Just absolutely pops him. They're going to push up that wave in the bot lane, apply pressure there, or they may rotate over to mid. That 1-3-1 coming up huge here that they can apply pressure. Now, smart move from DegreeEsports. The only way they lose this scenario is if the 3-man overstep and get engaged on. So Gidonica looks like he might be caught out, but he's a Jarvan. He'll be fine. And you can see Chentang just hovering in the jungle while Evan pushes up. Actually, they reset Longstaff in this situation, and they're actually resetting Redexus as well. So I think they're going a little bit slow on this Baron. Not going to look for the play now, but we're seeing Phrase 3 levels down on Gidonica. I think that sort of tells the story of this game. And you can look at the gold difference as well. 4,000 between the junglers. The person with the most gold in the game right now is the Jarvan. Despite the fact Echo has 6 kills, it just shows the difference in that early game. The fact that he was able to pick up those plates for himself in that mid lane tower. He actually failed his dash there, but it doesn't matter.
Actually,
he's so tanky.
It's actually mad.
I mean, I think as well, when he's your primary engage and you have a Tarek, if you can't kill him initially, how are you ever going to kill him with the Cosmic Radiance? And he's still putting out a fair amount of damage with Conqueror, with the sustained damage from the Cinderhope doing the burn. They are sort of posturing for this dragon. I think that's why they're not over pushing. They don't want to risk dying and then losing pressure on the dragon. They're not really concerned about the Baron push. The gold lead is the biggest takeaway from this one. They're now 10,000 up, and they're just setting up control for this Dragon Soul. This is where what needs to happen is Orgless randoms either need a steal from Gragas, or they need a team fight 1 into the Dragon. But for now, Chentang still has TP. He's happy just to push top lane. Gage is coming in.
Garonika's caught out one at the moment. The cage is fairly large as FaZe gets knocked back into Ben, but they're just going to flash over the wall to chase him down. Barry is having such a rough time as he is just caught in the dazzle using the Zhonyas as he gets taken out by the flank from Evan. They use the showstopper onto that backline as Liam flashes over, but he gets flagged and dragged in. A double kill has been picked up for Evan already as Chentang is just going for the base. It's a triple kill onto the Silas. Chen pings back out. Vega calls out the Forge God, trying to turn it back around onto Chen. Gets some big healing, but in comes the Time Winder. Almost finds himself the turnaround. The base, the backups coming through though. Sinip Sprinter's jumping in forwards. He's got that hail of blades. He can put a lot of damage in real quick into Chentang. But in comes Garonika looking for the slow, able to find it. And they get out of there.
Yeah, respawn's coming through, so they're just going to back away in this situation. Not wanting to overcommit and throw. Synapse is chasing, but you got to be a bit careful.
Yeah,
Dragon's been
fleet
started
footwork kill's
up.
not that big, but FaZe does find it. FaZe is pretty weak though. They do miss out on the double man flag and drag. The Infernal Soul gets picked up in the meantime, and you feel like they just want to reset before ending the game.
Yeah, I mean, they've already taken down that top lane inhibitor. They have a lot of pressure here. They can easily set this up into a 1-3-1, a 4-1, or just go 5-man in one lane. With the Infernal Soul, that burst is even more severe. It's not looking good for the side of Orgless randoms, and this is their last chance. This game, their loss here would mean they're out the closed qualifiers. They're not going to get into the UKLC, and it just does not feel like they've sort of hit any headway. The Senna isn't putting out enough damage at this point. Typically, she has a low damage carry with going the Frozen Mallet and the Black Cleaver. A lot of utility there, though, but it's like, who are you propping up? The Gragas has barely any AP. The Vigar as well has only really now hit his sort of core CDR items. He still doesn't have a Spooky Ghost, nowhere near a Rabadon's. And you look across on the other side, the discrepancy is huge. And that's ignoring the fact that they have this Infernal Soul. I think this is going to be the game-ending push. Let's look to see if Orgless randoms can defend.
Oh, big two-man Cataclysm. The cage is fairly large, but they've already got that Call of the Forge God bouncing in towards them. That's going to be the turret going down as a big showstopper comes out. But already, Chentang goes godlike, and Synapse Sprinter is caught out by the dazzle. FaZe just jumps away. The flag and drag lands onto Liam. And once again, another double kill is picked up for Evan. They're looking for Liam. Evan slides in and looks to secure the third for the team. This is the game. This is the end of the days for the randoms. This is a triple kill picked up for Chentang. And it looks like DegreeEsports, they are not done yet. They still have fight in them.
And it's just Ben Nux just died in that fight, and they still managed to come through. It's just not enough. There's so much bulkiness, so much damage potential with the Infernal Soul. And as you said, DegreeEsports making their way back into this side of match, but here and now, August randoms have to say goodbye to them.
26 minutes on the clock, and DegreeEsports will be going through into the next best of 3, taking on London Esports.
And just a solid performance. I think the person I want to praise the most in that game was Gadonica. We said it was very much about the jungle difference in that matchup, who makes the impact early. I don't think he was sort of like, oh, I need a gank. He knew where he needed to be. He set things up well. He forced FaZe into a I have to gank mentality, and it was very easy to play around that. The Jarvan became super strong. It felt like every single fight that was initiated by DegreeEsports, they won. Every fight that was initiated by August randoms, they may have done okay in the combat, but they would end up losing out overall, and it just felt like the game quickly slipped away.
It was just a really, really solid gameplay from moment one, really, for DegreeEsports, and it felt like both games as well. They just had a really good read on their opponents, and they played stellar there going into that. But now they've got to go up versus London Esports. This is one of the teams who you favored going up into Group A, and they were knocked out by Viperio in that last round, so they've got to kind of bounce back coming into this. And I'm excited to see how that's going to go down as our next game, because DegreeEsports look pretty good, but so far we've only really been able to judge teams on how well they can beat Orgless randoms. I know that's a little sad to say, but I think all of their games have been fairly one-sided and fairly fast.
I think on paper, I would have said that this was quite distinctly London Esports favored, but I also think that they haven't played today the way they should on paper. And I think that it's very easy to say, oh, this team's going to win. It happens all the time. It's rarely the case that it goes exactly as planned. I think DegreeEsports are in with a good shot. I think they definitely could challenge them, and that would really upset the apple cart for just the direction of the closed qualifier in day one.
Yeah, well, with that, we're going to cut to a quick break. And when we are back, we will be back with our final best of three. This is a decider of who goes through to tomorrow and who doesn't. So don't go anywhere. We will see you shortly.